Hi, everybody. You're listening to Radio Cherry Bombe, and I'm your host, Kerry Diamond. I'm in Maine right now on vacation, but I recorded a few shows before I left. Today's guest is Caroline Chambers, cookbook author, recipe developer, Substack superstar, Cherry Bombe cover star, and mom of 4. Caroline is back on the show to talk about her new cookbook, Make It Fast, the second book in her What to Cook When You Don't Feel Like Cooking series, and it drops tomorrow, August 11th. As the title suggests, this one is all about fast recipes that don't compromise on flavor. In addition to the book, we talk about her mom, Crash, yes, that's her nickname, Caroline's no paper towels household, I have no idea how she does it with 4 kids, but she tells us, her new video series, and what it's like to run the #1 food and drink Substack in the world. I love talking to Caroline, so stay tuned. Our conversation was recorded at Newsstand Studios at Rockefeller Center in New York City. By the way, if you live in the D.C. area, I am interviewing Caroline as part of her book tour on August 12th at 6th and I. We'd love to see you there. The ticket link is in our show notes.
This one's for all you Bombe moms out there. I'm Rachel Close, Cherry Bombe's Chief Revenue Officer and one of our moms in residence. As a mom of a toddler, I spend a lot of time thinking about food. I've gone down many rabbit holes researching ingredients, which is what led me to Little Spoon. Founded by wife and husband duo Angela Vranich and Ben Lewis, Little Spoon is rethinking children's food with fresh meals and snacks for babies, toddlers, and kids. As your child grows, Little Spoon grows with them across their feeding journey, with delicious options for different ages. Little Spoon also prioritizes transparency and safety, and they test every baby recipe with independent third-party labs for more than 500 contaminants. Little Spoon even publishes their testing standards online. That's the part I care about. As for my daughter Amelia, she's all about taste and texture. She's going through a berry phase right now and loves Little Spoon's berry pouch smoothies. But she's also graduated to their dinner time plates. Think mini turkey meatballs and butternut squash ravioli. I love knowing that Little Spoon grows with her at every new stage. If you have little ones at home, here's your chance to check out Little Spoon. Listeners get 30% off their first order at littlespoon.com/cherry. Be sure to use code CHERRY at checkout to get your 30% off. You can also find the link in our show notes.
Now, let's check in with today's guest. Caroline Chambers, welcome back to Radio Cherry Bombe.
Oh, thank you for having me back.
I said that like a weirdo. I'm going to say that one more time because, of course, we've taken up already 25% of the time talking nonsense off mic. Okay, Caroline Chambers. Caroline Chambers, welcome back to Radio Cherry Bombe. I said it like a weirdo again, but we're just going to keep going.
Let's just go with it. You always sound perfect and like the perfect radio announcer to me. So no weirdo vibes here.
Oh my God. How's your summer?
My summer is great. I really mean that. I have 4 kids. And so summer is really chaotic. My parents have been here for 2 weeks, or my mom's been here for 2 weeks. My dad's been here for a week. And they're the best. They're like my favorite people in the entire world. Having my parents here, however, makes me realize more how chaotic my life is. It's like having this outside observer of our chaos makes me like more aware of it. And so it's crazy. There's this like great
Wait, I have
family.
to ask though, does your mother bring the
Yes.
chaos? Because isn't her nickname
Okay.
Crash?
Crash. Exactly. Her nickname is Crash because she has crashed multiple of my husband's cars, and her sister, after the second one that she crashed of my husband's cars, her sister said, I'm going to call you Crash Thompson from now on. And it stuck. That was before anyone even had grandkids, and we all just started calling her Crash. So yes, my mom definitely brings chaos. I think there's a lot of grandmothers out there who bring like a calm, organized energy, and that's not my mom. She is so much fun. She's the one in the kitchen like riling them up. But we have this great like family lore. There's this story. I was an 11-pound, 12-ounce baby. I looked like a burnt marshmallow. Like I had this dark black hair poked out everywhere. I was really an unattractive, gigantic baby. And there's this great family lore that my grandmother, went to help my mom and stay with her. And she was on the phone with her twin sister. And my mom overheard her from the next room. She was like breastfeeding in the dark. And so my grandmother didn't know she was there. And she was going, well, she's a really ugly little baby, but I have hopes that she'll cuten up. And my mom, of course, overheard it, and she's hormonal, and she's like, it was like this devastating thing because she thought I was beautiful, as you do. So yesterday, my husband overhears my mother on the phone with her sister, who has 4 kids, by the way. My Aunt Betsy has 4 kids, and my mom overheard my mom saying to Aunt Betsy, 4 kids is just way too many. So that's now our, I mean, it literally happened 24 hours ago, and I think we've already repeated it like 40 times. Anytime something happens, we're like, well, 4 kids is just way too many.
I think my mother was saying something about, I don't know, it might have been Hilaria Baldwin. And she was like, that's just too many kids. And I was like, Mom, you had 5. Mom. I was like, what are you talking about?
Pot, kettle, black, Mom. I know.
Exactly. Oh my God. Okay. Now you're going to have to share a baby photo with us so we can run on Instagram when we run the carousel connected to this podcast.
Oh, I will. My husband keeps one in his favorites because obviously this is a fact that comes up a lot, and he's just like has it available to turn around and show to people at all times.
Maybe you're meant to make a plushie of a burnt little marshmallow. What were those little gnome character trolls?
Oh my gosh.
A marshmallow with troll hair.
When Jellycat approaches me for my collab, that's what it'll be.
There you go.
Little chubby burnt marshmallow baby. I mean, it's unbelievable, Carrie. I look like it's like this big swollen face. Like it looks like if you stick me, I'll pop.
11 pounds is a big baby. Great. Like we were all big kids, but
baby.
I don't know that any of us were 11 pounds. So God bless your mom. God bless all the moms.
Mom. God bless all the moms, but especially the moms of 11-pound babies.
You did write this book for all the moms out there. We're going to talk about your new cookbook. It's called Make It Fast. Unlike this interview.
This interview is a wandering path.
Exactly. Make It Fast, part of the What to Cook When You Don't Feel Like Cooking series. This is number 2 in the series. Why make it fast? What are all your fans telling you?
So I wrote What to Cook When You Don't Feel Like Cooking. I've been on the podcast before. We've talked about, I first started it as a Substack, and every recipe takes under an hour. So then when it came time to write the book, I organized the chapters by how long they took. So there was a 15-minute chapter, a 30, a 45, and then what I now wish I had called Walk Away. And in this new book, it is called Walk Away. So a chapter that is called, what's it called in book 1? A Little Bit Longer, I think is what it's called. It says what it says, a little bit longer. So it makes you think, oh, these are recipes that are going to take me longer. They are actually still recipes that you cook when you don't feel like cooking. They just, simmer for 4 hours, or they're in the oven for 2 hours. And so I wish I'd called that chapter something that gave you the illusion of, oh, I can do this and then I can go do something else. So in this new book, I basically noticed that people, from newsletter recipes to book 1, What to Cook When You Don't Feel Like Cooking, everyone was cooking and tagging me in and, in the group chat on Substack about the 15 and the 30-minute recipes. Those are the recipes that everyone's coming back to. Those are the keepers. Those are the ones that people are sharing with their friends when they run into them at the grocery store. And so I wrote an entire book of fast recipes called Make It Fast. And it's 15-minute chapter, a 30-minute chapter, and the Walk Away chapter. So I kind of renamed that longer chapter Walk Away. And I set some parameters for myself. So every recipe in the book takes under 30 minutes of active cook time. So in the Walk Away chapter, I really had to trim the fat, the proverbial fat on those recipes so that you are only actually actively working, chopping, stirring, whatever it is for 30 minutes. Otherwise, it's in the oven for at least an hour. So that was another tricky part. I wanted you to be able to actually leave and go do something. So whether you're the type of person like me who actually leaves the house with the oven on, or you just go upstairs.
Do you?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I'm always scared to do that.
My mom's name is Crash.
I need to have a little announcement, a little PSA at the moment. We don't endorse that here.
We don't
Cherry
endorse
Bombe.
that. Yeah, neither does Caroline Chambers Inc., just to be clear. Yeah, no suing me or Carrie for endorsing leaving your oven on. But you could, go upstairs and do the laundry or...
Okay. You're not going to the supermarket.
Not
Not that you're willing
Sure.
to admit here.
Totally.
Okay.
Not that I'm willing to admit here.
Interesting. I'll be waiting for my elevator because I live in an apartment building. I'll be waiting for my elevator and I'm like, I need to go double check that I turned all
Yes.
the burners off.
One of my best friends and roommates in college, Claire, used to text us every single day. Can somebody check that my curling iron's off?
Oh, the
Every single
curling
day.
iron.
It's a thing.
Now that I don't use a curling iron anymore, it's changed my life because I'm not sitting
You
on
don't
the
have
subway
that
like,
phobia.
oh shit, my
Is it
house
off?
is going
Is
to
it
burn
off?
down.
Is it off?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I leave my curling iron on for like 24 hours. And I'm like, oopsie daisies. I only noticed because my, vanity is singed. Yeah, we
Oh my
all
God.
we all have our things.
I will say though, in all the years, however many years old I am that I've been going back and checking to make sure I turn the burners off, there was one time when I hadn't turned one off. And I was like,
and leaving a burner on is like
yes. And I was
a
just
fire.
I was so shocked. I'm still shocked to this day.
Yeah.
I was so shocked, but it validated all my neurotic behavior.
Yes. Okay. Do you want to hear mine that I have this neurotic thing that I check and then one day it actually happened? I look inside of raspberries to make sure there's not a bug there. And this started when I was little. I think my mom like one time said it offhand, check inside, make sure. And so always when I eat a raspberry, I always look inside of it. And one time there was a big fat ladybug in the inside of my raspberry, like from not even a farmer's market berry.
We might take the name of the brand out.
From a grocery store brand. But
we've just got disclaimers all over this episode.
Disclaimers. Okay. But yeah, so now I check the inside of my.
Oh God, one more thing to have to worry about now, Caroline Chambers.
I know.
If you're a longtime fan of Cherry Bombs, there's a way to get more involved in everything we do. You can become an official member of the Bomb Squad and get access to all our content on Substack, including cover stories, features, and recipes, and be part of our virtual member meetings on Zoom. You'll also get discounts on events like Jubilee and our upcoming Farmers and Makers Weekend in Paso Robles, California. Membership is $6 per month or $55 per year. We also have a special tier for CEOs, CMOs, and founders, which gets you all the perks of being a Bomb Squad member, plus a subscription to our magazine and access to exclusive events. For more, visit cherrybomb.com. The link is in our show notes. All our listeners are cookbook obsessed. What is different about this book than your first one?
This book really sticks to the same what to cook when you don't feel like cooking principles. So it's, I want you to be able to pop into your local grocery store, find everything. We depend on a few store-bought staple ingredients that add a ton of flavor quickly. Miso, harissa, or a couple that I can think of off the top of my head that like just add a ton of flavor quickly because we're going for quick flavor. We're going for like quick recipes that don't compromise on flavor. So I want you to be able to find everything really easily. I want you to be able to do everything in as few dishes as possible. That's one of my big promises. I think that a big part of why people don't like cooking and don't feel like cooking is that they actually just don't want the mess. There is nothing more frustrating than having this 4 different pots for one recipe.
I managed to use, and I'm just most of the time cooking for myself. I somehow managed to use every pot and pan and utensil in my kitchen. Mm-hmm.
It's definitely an affliction that some people have. You and my mother have the same disease where like she'll start in one skillet and it won't be big enough. And so she'll switch to the next skillet. So I'm very prescriptive in my recipes about what tool you should use so that doesn't happen to you. Because it sucks when you like start sauteing something in your 10-inch skillet and then you're like, oh, I needed a 12-inch here. And you dirty up 2 dishes in the matter of minutes. So I'm really prescriptive in what dishes you need, what tools you need. On the newsletter, I obviously have more real estate. I have more space. So I tell you there's like a tools list for every recipe. At the top of the recipe, it's like you need 1 large bowl, 1 small bowl, 1 10-inch skillet. In the book, I don't have that kind of space, but in the directions line, I'm really prescriptive with what you should use.
Are you a better recipe developer?
Yes, I think I become a better recipe developer every week. A really cool thing about being a Substack writer, like I publish a new recipe every single Saturday to my Substack readers. For better or for worse, I get a lot of feedback every single week on that recipe. Sometimes it's, just I couldn't find this ingredient, so I swapped this. Sometimes and that's great knowledge, oh, that worked. Okay, she couldn't find harissa and she swapped gochujang and it worked. Great, good to know. Sometimes it's the rice was still crunchy after 20 minutes. What happened? And I like dig into it with them. I'm like, what kind of pot did you use? That's so interesting. I had 4 different recipe testers test this and that didn't happen to anybody. And so I really become a better recipe developer week by week. Because I become better at like troubleshooting. I have all these readers from across the country who have different quality caliber of pots and different ingredients that they're able to source. My pasta was a little bit acidic. What did I do wrong? Nothing. You're using out of season tomatoes because you're cooking this 6 months after it published, and it's like, oh, it's just that cherry tomatoes are not as sweet during the winter. So I really become a better recipe developer all the time, but definitely. I mean, I wrote a book called Just Married. That's the first one in 2017. I'm really proud of that book and it's beautiful and I still recommend it. When I look back at those recipes, I know that the outcome of all of them is just as delicious as if I had written it today, but it's harder to get there, right? So with every kid, with every recipe I write, I've just become more efficient and more purposeful in what I ask you to do. If I think that only simmering it for an hour is going to be just as good as 2 hours, I'm not going to say 2 hours just because it's a 2-hour simmer and that makes me sound like a better recipe. I'm going to tell you to use the store-bought Raos if I think that you can get there just as easily as better than making your own. I've just become kind of more efficient with my time since 2017 when I published my first book.
Are you dying to write your next book? I'm asking because who I interviewed a few weeks ago, Alex Snodgrass. She said the most interesting thing. She said, I feel like I was born to write cookbooks. Like she cannot wait to write her next cookbook.
I think I didn't know that Ina publishes a book every other October until I was maybe on the podcast with you last time. I think you're the one who brought that to my attention. And she took the break for her memoir, right? Or she took a year off of cookbooking. I am not like Ina and Alex in that I want to crank one out every 2 years. That's what I've done this time. I wrote What to Cook. It came out 2 Augusts ago, and now I've got Make It Fast. I am going to take a moment between my next one to live a little bit more life and have a little bit more time to have new ideas. What happens with the newsletter, because it is so seasonal, I'm writing a new recipe every single week and I really work on it that week. I don't get far ahead. I like working on it like a la minute. I like it being topical. If egg prices are through the roof that week, we talk about it. We talk about the economy of groceries and politics and like a lot that's couched within a recipe. And so I like keeping it really fresh. And so what happens is the whole world inspires me to write that recipe. When I'm writing cookbooks, I keep a running note all the time of like cookbook recipes. So I've got so many recipes for my next cookbook already ready, but I need a little bit more like space and time to come up with those ideas and like go out to dinner with you and, like live life a little.
It's so funny that you say that because you are writing recipes every week. You're interacting with your audience all the time. If I had to guess, it's that you love the immediacy and you love the feedback. Not that you need the feedback. Like that's part of what fuels you to do what you do. And as a recipe developer, that it's a kind of feedback that you just will never get with a cookbook.
Yes, it is a really interesting thing. And Alex is in the same world, whereas Ina is more like she is a cookbook author. She writes cookbooks first. That is how she gets her recipes to us as her devoted followers. Alex is a blogger, so she is used to that immediate feedback loop like I am with Substack. And it is really helpful for me as a recipe developer. Like I was saying, I learn new things every week. Like a fun thing to do is if I keep bringing up harissa. If I use harissa or gochujang 1 week, I'll use it again just 4 weeks later or 3 weeks later because I'm like, I know you still have half a jar of that sitting in your fridge. Don't worry. Or so I send a recipe every Saturday. On Mondays, I send like tips or tricks or a knife skills class. If I had you use half a jar of kimchi, I'll send a thing, how to use a half, used jar of kimchi. And that's fun. And I get to and people are like, oh my God, I was wondering what to do with it. And I love that immediacy and that, again, seasonality of it.
It's funny to think years ago, when Nina was doing her first cookbooks, even years before that, Julia Child, sometimes you'd put a cookbook out into the world and someone would have to write you a letter.
Yes.
Or live next door.
People wrote Julia letters to tell her.
Her phone number was in the phone book. People would call her.
That is unbelievable.
They'd call her on Thanksgiving. Can you imagine?
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, I think that sounds really nice, to be honest. Like that, in some ways, that sounds lovely. I have this, so I send my recipes on Saturday at 5 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. I have sort of this Saturday, Sunday hangover anxiety feeling until the first cooks reviews start to roll in. And almost always they are, positive. We love this. I cooked this for my mother-in-law, da, da, da. Sometimes it's my rice wasn't cooked after 20 minutes. What did I do wrong? And I have such a nice community. So it's never the scary New York Times reviews, this was horrible, da, da, da. But I am definitely sitting there waiting for, okay, everyone has it now. Like, did it work? That is a funny thing with cookbooks. You publish them, they're out in the world, and you're like, is anybody out there? Are you guys cooking them? Whereas with What to Cook, the Substack, I'm really sitting there waiting for everyone to start cooking it, tagging me in it, DMing me about it. There's an immediacy to it. And we're all cooking the same thing and we're rallying around the same recipe. And when one really goes crazy and everyone's cooking it, it's this fun thing,
Oh, it's so communal. And it's nice to have that because you and I were, again, off mic talking about the end of the World Cup. We had such a fun summer in New York until July came around and ruined everything. But, World Cup was so much fun. The Knicks playoffs are so much fun. And I was saying, what's going to fill the space, of those really wonderful communal events, all of us outside watching big screen TVs, just cheering on these athletes. And that's so nice that you provide that for some people.
Yes, it is that on such a micro level, of course.
Not so micro. You do have the #1 food and drink Substack in the world.
Thank you. You're right. Yeah, it is that on a food level. And you all have it. You as readers all have your favorite food creators. If you've never heard of my newsletter, you have your person. And you see when one recipe that really comes to mind, Dan Pelosi was on, I love that a man got to come on Cherry Bombe. He deserves it. He writes for the New York Times and he had this, I think they're called pesto chicken meatballs is the name of the recipe.
Sounds good.
And it just had one of those New York Times crazy viral moments. It felt like if you hadn't cooked them yet, what were you even doing? Are you even
I'm asking myself that right now.
Yes. And they're fabulous. When those moments happen, I have a hella green pasta that is when people cook it for the first time, they're like, I'm so embarrassed to say that I'm just cooking this for the first time because it's such an iconic What to Cook recipe. But yeah, it is fun. It's fun when a community is all kind of out there doing the same thing. I'll have people message me and be like, I was at the grocery store grabbing eggplant and I looked at the girl next to me and she kind of looked like she was cooking your recipe and I asked her and she was making it too. And that's pretty cool.
I love that. Name a recipe in the book. I know it's so hard to pick one, but pick one that you think people are really going to adore. I'm going to Maine next week and I'm going to be cooking more than I normally do and cooking for 15 people. And there's a lot of stuff in here that I think will please a group. There's skillet lasagnas with zucchini.
Yes, I love that recipe. I think I'm about to cook that recipe with my membership community actually at one. I need to look and see what I'm cooking. Okay, that one is really great. One that I think you should cook with your friends in Maine is the flank steak with elote. You can use whatever steak. You could use chicken. You could use fish even. But it's a 15-minute recipe, and I swear it is really possible to do it in 15 minutes. You're going to quickly marinate steak and, rub some oil on some corn, throw it on the grill, cook it, and then come back in, cut the corn off the cob, and toss it with the typical elote players, some mayonnaise, some cheese, some cilantro, some spices, and serve it over top of the steak. It's so good, and it just tastes like summertime. So I think you should make that. There's this one recipe, Carrie, you have the book in front of me, so you might have to tell me what it's called. It's like a farro.
Oh, did I just land on it? Not the fazool.
Yes,
Yeah.
farro fazool.
I
Thank
literally just
you.
landed on that.
That is
How
so weird.
That is
We're
random.
in sync. Okay.
Is that a play on what I mean,
Yes.
I grew up in an Italian neighborhood. Pasta
Yes.
fagioli.
Yes,
Yeah.
fagioli. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
In, Brooklyn, it's fazool. So this is just this like really delicious, but we use farro instead of pasta. And that's not because we're, on a health kick here. It's just because it's really a delicious thing. It lasts longer. One of my, what are they called? Forward sections in this book is because a lot of people, your editor wants you to do a pantry and, kind of have the same tips at the beginning. And I was like, I just did this 2 years ago. Instead of just telling everyone what to buy again, let's do a section on how to make them feel like cooking, even when they really, really don't want to. And so there's a section in there called something along those lines. And one of my tips is to cook more, less often.
Cook more, less often.
Cook more, less often. So if you are up in Maine and you're with all your friends and, you guys are all going to the beach the next afternoon, there's no reason not to just throw, while you're already grilling anyway, your flank steak elote, also throw 2 pounds of chicken thighs on there. And then the next day, all you have to do is mix it with the mayonnaise and the celery and the grapes, and you've got chicken salad. So don't go to the well twice. Like if you're already grilling, grill the meat that you need for tomorrow's
Unless
salad.
you love going to the well all the time.
Unless you love going to the well at all times, which
I kind of do when I'm on vacation.
Totally. I know. Okay. So my parents have been here, I told you, and I've been kind of acting like I'm on vacation. And my editor, Molly, I was on the phone with her right before you and I got on the phone. She was like, "You've been cooking up a storm." And I thought, what a funny thing to tell a cookbook author. But she's completely right. Like I'm still a mom of, 4. I'm not cooking elaborate feasts every single night. But this week I've been like,
I have to say, when we were at your house to shoot the cover, and I don't know if you sat everybody down before we got there and you said, you all are going to behave when Cherry Bombe is here.
Oh my God.
It wasn't chaos. Everybody was so well behaved. And I don't know, we had a great time.
That is interesting. I'm trying to think of why. I don't know. The wheels have been like off the tracks. Summertime, I think, is crazy because kids lack routine, lack schedule. When you came, if I'm not mistaken, I think we let them skip school that day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think they were like, they were psyched to be, out of school. They were loving life, loving me. They also they love when new people come over. My assistant, Jillian, describes our house as like a sitcom set. She's like, there's just always new players like coming through the door. Like you never know who's going to show up. That's partially because the house has been like sort of under construction. So there's always some random person wandering through. But yeah, those kids, summer is an unhinged time around here.
Well, at least they can play outside. You have a beautiful, it's beautiful
they
outside.
have a lot of space to play.
I grew up in one of those houses with a very young mom where she was like, go out and play, and would lock the door.
Yes, she told me that. I think you told me that when you were here. She would lock the door. I love that so much. I proverbially lock the door a lot. I'm like, get out of this house. You can't come back in. You can't come back in until lunch. I live in Carmel Valley, California. So Northern California, Monterey County. And so there's a lot of wildlife-y thing. Like they are catching lizards all the time. There's constantly like reptiles being harnessed.
Oh my God, you just made me remember the tarantula.
Oh,
so you have an outdoor, I don't know, what do you call it? What, it was not a fire pit. What was the thing?
Pergola thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a fake tarantula on the ground that looked so real. We were convinced it was real, and I was frozen. I was like, oh shit,
get me out of here.
And we were like, wait, is it real or is it fake? And nobody knew, because apparently you do get tarantulas sometimes. And I was like, oh my God, it turned out it was fake.
Didn't one of my kids like throw a rock at it? And he was like, it's fake. You're good. We do. We get real tarantulas in October. I'm sure I told you that.
Right. Mating season or something,
yes,
right? They come out.
Mating season is right around Halloween. And I think that's like why spiders are so.
I'm adding that to my list of reasons to stay in Brooklyn.
Yep. I allow that.
I'm such a city girl.
Yep. I was on a hike with my first baby, and we like
my first husband.
I was on a hike with my first husband, and had him in the carrier, and up the middle of the street was a huge tarantula.
Wow. Okay, one silly question I'm going to ask you before we talk about your Substack, your very wildly successful Substack. One of the things that shocked me when I was at your house, because, you have such a full life and so many kids, you don't use paper towels. How
I don't use
in
paper
God's
towels.
name do you pull that off? I try not to use them, again, for me, and it's sometimes hard. You just want to grab a paper towel. And I always try to summon like my inner Alice Waters and now my inner Caroline Chambers and not reach for that paper towel.
This fact blows everyone's minds, especially my mother. When my mom comes, she tries to like sneak paper towels in. And I'm not such a purist that like, if I'm going on a vacation with people, I'm like, no paper towels. Here's what I do. Right underneath. So I have a huge Boost block that is on the counter at all times.
What's a Boost block?
Boost, John Boost.
Those wooden cutting boards. Yes, those are beautiful.
Huge wooden cutting board. And then my trash can is right underneath it. So I pull out my trash can and can put everything directly into the trash. And right in a drawer right there.
I saw the drawer.
I'm also very near my sink, is a massive stack of dish towels. Okay. And then in my trash can drawer is a big basket where the used dish towels go. And we use a ton of dish towels. Okay. So we use, 5 a day on especially spilly days, which with 4 children, every day is a spilly day. And so you get out a new dish towel, it lives its life until it's been filthed enough to go into the basket. And then they get washed, 2-3 times a week. And I'm telling you, it's one of those things that you just have to get used to. And then once you're used to it, you don't even think about it anymore.
How did it start?
It started during COVID. I honestly don't even know if it was an environmental thing or a COVID don't want to go to the grocery store thing, but I know it started then, and I like created this basket system then.
Well, very impressive.
Thank you.
I was super duper impressed because in a house like yours, you could go through a lot of paper towels.
And that's what I find. So when my mom comes to visit, she'll like sneak in a roll, and then so we end up using it. And you use so many. If something spills, you use a paper towel, like throw it away. So throw it. It's crazy how many paper towels you can go through. So once you stop using them, you start to see, and again, I'm really not a purist. I'm really not here to judge anyone, but like you start to realize how insane it is, how many paper towels a household can go through when you're not doing it. It's an easy swap, Kerry. You can do it.
I'm halfway there.
Yeah,
I'm going to double down on it after this interview. Okay, let's talk about Substack, my favorite topic. I love Substack.
You've been really getting more active there, I can tell.
Trying. I definitely had a chat with the team today. I was like, okay, we need a better strategy. We need to be like Caroline Chambers and send out our newsletters at the same time, on the same days. And I think about the newsletters I love the most. Yeah. They all come out same day, same time. So you're sort of, you're just...
is key. Yeah, it's a part of your routine. I grocery shop on Saturday afternoons. I read this on my commute. It is key.
There are a lot of folks who are still thinking about Substack. And as you and I know, even though it seems like Substack is fully saturated, when we did our interview at Jubilee a few years ago, and we asked the audience, how many of you subscribe to Substack and how many of you write a Substack, the numbers were equal, and it seemed to be the same group of people doing both.
Talking to
each other. They read them and they write them. So there's still a lot of room for discovery. The gold rush might be over, everybody rushing in there. But, I feel like if you are passionate and you have something important to say, there's always room for that. What would your advice be to folks who really would love to do their own Substack one day?
Substack is an awesome platform. They are working really hard to make it easy for writers to grow audiences there, easy for writers to use, all the things. That being said, don't think about it as like, oh, I should start a Substack. Don't think of Substack as a platform like TikTok or Instagram. Think I should own my newsletter, and that might help you think of what your idea should be or what you should be talking about. So Substack is just one place that you can write a newsletter. It is really popular, and it does have its own growth algorithm and search engine. So that is why if you're going to start a newsletter today, I would definitely recommend you do it there. But don't think of it as I need to start a Substack. Think of it as I need to start a newsletter, which in my opinion, you do. If you want to grow a business or grow your voice as a writer or build an online community of any place, owning your newsletter is the most important thing. The Instagram algorithm can change at any moment. TikTok can finally get banned, whatever.
To bring up Alex again, she and I talked about this with bloggers. The whole thing with the AI summary coming up first when you Google something has definitely hurt bloggers, lots of websites, big media companies, small media companies.
Yeah, even your website. And Google changes the way that the AI summary thing, of course, but they also just change the way that search results come up. So you've worked so hard on your site's search engine optimization, your SEO, and then they change the keywords on you and you're like, what? I've spent, thousands of dollars and time and doing it this way. So the only thing you own, fingers crossed that Google never gets and starts, putting an algorithm behind our email inboxes, but the only thing you really own and the only place you can really guarantee showing up in people's faces is in their email inbox. So that is what you should think about. How can I email? What ideas do I want to get across? What am I trying to, present myself as, and do that over email? And Substack is a great place to be emailing your people.
You just started a video series.
Yes. So I think Substack, I think there was you called it the gold rush. And I think that's a great word for it. There was this was it a year and a half ago, 2 years, just this Substack boom where I think suddenly a lot of different creators in all different areas, food being a really big one, went, oh my gosh, people are starting these paid communities. I better start one. And all of a sudden, every food creator, every parenting creator, everybody has a paid community. A lot of them are doing it on Substack. So I think I've been on Substack for about 6 years. And for 4 of those years, I saw my growth at a really exponential growth line. There was no curve. It was just up, 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 up. And I, had a great product and people were telling their friends about it and it went up. Now, and I really don't see it as competition because I think everyone in their own, again, everyone reading this, you all have your favorite food creators who you would pay for their thing. But for a while, I wasn't competing with everyone having their own favorite. I was just one of the only ones doing it, this, paid community once a week. And so now there is a lot of other subscriptions out there. And whether it's a food subscription or, you've already, I just signed up for, a politician, my favorite old reporter from the New York Times. We're also competing with that. And just that thought of I already pay $100 a year for that person. Can I really afford to pay $50 a year to another person? So there's that. There's going to be a peak of how much people are willing to shell out to individual creators, right? And I think Substack is starting to see that. I think most creators that I've talked to on Substack are starting to see that. It's just becoming more difficult to grow a paid community. You're having to just work a little bit harder for it. And so expanding to video for me was one more place to meet my audience and show them who I am and what I'm about. And I think there's, a million food Substacks out there now and politics Substacks and fashion Substacks. If I can just show people kind of what I'm about, here's my life, here's, the mess of my kitchen, but I'm still able to create this recipe. Here's all my kids running out with reptiles, but I'm still able to create this recipe. Then people kind of go, okay, I can do that too. I'm going to subscribe to hers. Because I think Substack or subscribing to a paid community really is about relating to the human behind it. It's not just about the recipe that they put out, whatever. So that was a big reason for video, as well as with the, I think, kind of plateau, more difficult to obtain a paid subscriber. Sponsorships on Substack are going to become a bigger thing. So video is an interesting place for a really cool sponsor to come in and make, continue to drive revenue with Substack, even if paid subs are declining.
It's interesting because you got your start making reels. You've been on the show a few times and talked about your strategy in the beginning. During the pandemic, you were making reels all the time. I looked at the list of your basically production credits and I was like, oh my God, this is like Caroline makes a movie every week.
Yes, totally.
Is it hard to get used to that many people when you used to just make them by yourself?
Very much so. And it's hard. We shot 8 episodes in 4 days. And so I had to, like I've said, I really like writing the recipe that week. And I'm never having to work this far ahead. And so my assistant, Jillian, and I were like killing ourselves for weeks to get all of those recipes ready, tested, to be able to shoot them. So yes, it was a crazy production. It's crazy to have that many people in and out of the house. You've been here with all my kids. They were on their best behavior for you. As you will see in upcoming episodes of the show, they were not always on their best behavior. And my idea behind the show was, like, I grew up on Ina and Giada. That was kind of my Food Network that I really got into cooking. And those ladies really taught me how to cook. And I love how polished and perfect it is, and that they're in these beautiful kitchens. And I have nothing bad to say about those shows. I love them. And they truly taught me to cook when I couldn't afford culinary school. Ina taught me how to cook. However, it's not the cooking show that reflects my current life and so many of my readers' current lives. And so I thought, all right, let's try to create a cooking show where like real life is actually happening. There are messes happening and kids running in and kids wanting to help you chop. So my kids really come in and out of the show a lot in the upcoming episodes. I've released 1 so far and there's 7 more coming.
I can't wait for the rest of them. It's so nice talking to you because so much has happened to you over the past several years. You've got all these kids now.
I got to be on the cover of
You were on the cover of Cherry Bombe, yes.
The most important thing.
Best-selling cookbooks, your Substack, all the things. But I get the sense that what continues to fuel you is you just want moms to have an easier time when they're feeding their kids.
Yes, I think that that's exactly it. My community is mostly moms. I think you find people who are like you, and that's who you end up, cooking their recipes or dressing like them if it's a fashion person, or designing your home like them if it's a, home designer. You just kind of want to relate to the person behind it. And so, yeah, so many of the people who cook my recipes are young moms, or I always say young moms. I'm not a young mom. I'm a mom with young kids. And I just want to help them make it all more fun. It's funny. We started kind of including more like motherhood content on the newsletter because I was like, oh, that's who they are anyway. Like, let's share. Like, I wrote this big essay about my last time breastfeeding with my last kid. And it was like my most popular, most shared, most liked post ever. And it was also my most highly unsubscribed post ever.
Oh my God. Why is this country so weird about breastfeeding?
Well,
is it ever going to change?
I also write a newsletter called What to Cook When You Don't Feel Like Cooking. So I think all these people who subscribe to a newsletter for that reason and have no idea who I am were like, what is happening here? I thought she was going to tell me how to cook easy recipes. And so I've kind of, taken my personal out a little bit. Obviously, like my head notes of my recipes are always going to be about my life, but I've removed a little bit of who I am from the parts surrounding it.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I guess when you hit a certain size, I mean, when I think about you, I think of your most devoted fans, your Caroline Chambers Army. I don't know. Do you have a name for your version of the Bombe Squad? The butter
pants. Because we stick butter down our pants to warm it up. Mm-hmm.
The butter
People send me
pants.
pictures of themselves with sticks of butter down their pants all the time. Butter pants.
You got to be careful with that. People.
You do.
The photos of people sticking butter down their pants. Yeah. But I just completely lost my train of thought thinking of people shoving butter down their pants. They adore you, like we all adore you, So the fact that there are people who are along for the ride who are there for different reasons. That's why I was surprised by the people unsubscribing.
The past 2 years, probably since I was last on, my Substack community has far eclipsed my Instagram community. So I have like 300,000 followers on Instagram, 600,000 on Substack. And so many of those people on Substack are finding me through Substack, through, me being on the cover of Cherry Bombe, although that was so kid focused and beautiful that they know I'm a mom if they followed me from that. But a lot of people are finding me and, have no idea who I am. They are just finding what to cook when you don't feel like cooking. And that is a great way to grow. And so I'm in this like kind of growth phase of figuring out what does that mean to continue to grow authentically and provide the content that makes sense for me to provide from exactly who I am, mom of how many are there? Mom of 4 young boys, living in California. I've got amazing produce everywhere, but I want to write recipes for everybody, make it accessible for everyone. So I'm in this really interesting phase of trying to figure out how exactly makes the most sense to grow right now when not all of my readers are moms anymore. Not all of them are in the same exact phase of life that I am and wanting to hear about the things. Like we almost published this big, like all the baby products I actually used with my 4th kid. And then we were like, wait, that's not what to cook when you don't feel like cooking. They don't want that. And so it has kind of been this going from being Caroline Chambers Substack to being what to cook when you don't feel like cooking, written by Caroline Chambers.
Would you launch a second Substack?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think about that. Is it a column that people can unsubscribe that lives under what to cook, or is it Caro and it's a totally separate Substack? That's definitely on my mind for, once the book tour is over. And then also like, what am I thinking? Because I can hardly keep up with where I am right now. But, maybe it's having a team of writers that helped me expand these 2 things, because it is something people want to hear, obviously. Like it was my most popular post ever, this breastfeeding manifesto, a goodbye to breastfeeding. That's what it was called, I think. And it was so popular and it was also so unpopular. And we were like, oh, this has to tell us something. So
yeah, that's so interesting for all the content creators out there.
Yeah.
It's when you think like, do I need to stay in my lane? Can I expand? All
Yeah.
things you have to think about. All right, let's do an abbreviated speed round so we can
Great.
get you back to Crash and the Crash and the gang.
I could just yap with you forever. It's so fun.
I know. Okay, what beverage do you start your day with?
I keep a huge water bottle by my bed. I'm a thirsty night person. So I try to make it's like one of those, big Owalas, 32 ounce. And I try to make myself finish it before I get out of bed. So I fill it before bed. I'll take sips during the night. And then I try to make myself finish it before I get out of bed.
Okay, a thirsty night
I don't
person.
always do it. I'm a thirsty night person. And yes, that also means I pee all night, but
Yeah,
I am who I am. Yeah, that is just a part of my life.
It's working for you. What's your most used kitchen implement, aside from your dish towels?
Aside from my dish towels, which are 100%. Okay, probably I'm going to give you 2 answers. First is my Boost block, my huge walnut cutting board that sits there at all times. When people keep cutting boards in a drawer, I'm like, you're making your life that much harder by always having to get something out to slice the bread, to slice the peach, whatever. Just have your cutting board there all the time and wipe it off. So number 1 is that, but I already talked about that. So number 2 is a fish spatula. So a long, skinny spatula. It's not just for fish, it's for pancakes. And I love the ones with the silicone tip so that you can use them on your nonsticks.
Oh, I like that. You know what?
The long, skinny, super flexible.
I need to buy one of those. I'm going to look for one with a silicone tip. And
yes.
I
Okay, I'll send
recently invested in some wooden cutting boards. Any advice for cleaning them?
I very rarely, like maybe once every 2 weeks, actually put it under the sink. Otherwise, if I'm trying to get a stinky scent out of it, I put salt all over it, kosher salt, take half a lemon and like scrub the crap out of it. That's if you cut garlic on it, onions, and suddenly your strawberries are tasting like garlic or onions. That's like an odor remover. But otherwise, I just use Koala Eco spray and I spray it down. And then I use my scrubby brush, like circular bristle brush, and I scrub the crap out of it and then wipe off any soapy residue.
I'm constantly washing it and then oiling it.
Yes. No. So I wash it wipey downy all the time. Probably wash it under the sink once every 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then I oil it whenever it starts
What
to
about
feel
when you're cutting something like
dry.
meat or raw chicken?
Meat or raw chicken, I have, what are they called? I talk about them all the time because I love them so much.
Do you have a separate cutting board for those?
Yes, it's a separate cutting board. Okay, so I have a 3-size set of Epicurean cutting boards. They're paper composite, so they're not plastic. all plastic cutting boards out of your house. You're getting plastic into your food every time you cut into them. So they are a paper composite. So they read like wood. You think they're wood, but they're actually just like paper smushed together. And they're totally machine washable. So I stick them in the dishwasher. I have a tiny one that I'll use to cut like a mince of garlic clove, but I honestly typically just forget to do that and do it on my big one. And then I have to do the lemon salt thing. And I cut anytime I'm dealing with raw garlic. And I have one that has the juice groove.
Mm-hmm.
So I slice like steak. I slice my cooked
I never
meat
knew
on
what to
it
call
as well.
that. The juice groove.
The juice groove. Yes, that's what
a
it's
fun
called.
name for somebody. Song title,
Juice groove.
album title.
Good band name.
Yep.
Juice groove.
What are you streaming these days? You watching anything? You music, TV, movies?
I'm not watching a single thing because I'm so addicted to the Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon. It's by Beth Brower, the same person who wrote The Queen's Gambit. Did you ever watch that?
Loved
Was it a
it.
series or a movie?
It was a series. Loved it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was a series. Yes. So I hope that this becomes a series also. The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon. Think like Bridgerton in that we're in like very sophisticated London, but it's this woman named Emma who has just like a lot of humor, and she's way too smart for the world she's been put into, where women are not really allowed to be smart and witty, that they're like 100 pages long each, and they read like a diary. It's every
and
day.
So they're multiple books.
Yes. So there's 8 out so far. I was up until 1 a.m. reading the 5th one, and they are quippy and smart. And she's this woman who, feels like she was less educated than she wants to be. So she's on this like self-education journey, but she can't afford books because she's like one of those British people who's like house rich, but money poor. And it's just fabulous. There's like all these suitors.
That's going to be
in
a
the
series.
mix.
100%.
There's a duke, there's a photographer, there's a vicar, and they're all like friends, but it's like, do they actually love each other? It's so good.
Oh, I can't wait. Let's do our last question. I don't remember how you've answered this in the past. If you had to be trapped on a desert island with one food celebrity, who would it be and why?
I'm sure the last time I answered it, it was Ina, and it would 100% still be. I was recently at a Substack conference thing, and Ina's assistant, Micah, was there. And she is the most fabulous, just like cool. And we were hanging out for a long time. And I said, I'm so sorry, but I just have to say these words. Is she as great as I think she is? And she said, oh, she's even better. So Micah moved out to Long Island for this job. She and her wife moved out to Long Island for this job. And she said that when she pulled up to her house, they're renting this house, and they pulled up for the first time with their moving van, and Ina was standing on her front lawn with, dinner in a cooler and a bottle of wine and like flowers under her arm. And I thought, oh, get me to a desert island with that lady. I just love her. I love her warmth. I love her. I know you know her, and I'm jealous of you. Someday I'm going to know her.
A little bit. Someday you will know her. She is all that. Yep.
I love her.
Yeah, we do too.
So.
But we love you. We love you, Caroline Chambers. So
thank you for having me.
Make it fast. Like I promised, this was not going to be a fast podcast. Thank you for all your time.
We got things to talk about, but
we do.
The book, I promise, is more efficient than this podcast. Make it fast, baby.
And you've got a tour. We'll share all the details about the tour, but definitely go see Caroline on tour. It was great to see you. I miss you. I hope I get to see you in person while you're on tour.
I know. I hope so too.
To be continued.
To be continued.
That's it for today's show. Thank you to Caroline Chambers for joining me. Don't forget, Caroline and I will be in conversation on August 12th in Washington, D.C. The link is in our show notes. Our theme song is by the band Tra La La. Joseph Hazen is a studio engineer for Newsstand Studios at Rockefeller Center. Special thanks to Good Studio in Brooklyn. Our producers are Catherine Baker and Jenna Sadu. Our executive assistant is Bridget Pittman. And our head of partnerships is Rachel Close. Thanks for listening, everybody. You're the bomb.